In a world of challenges and uncertainties, hope shines as a beacon, guiding us through the dark times and showing us the way to brighter days ahead. But what exactly is hope? Where does it come from? And how does it shape our lives? I'm Annie Bennett, and I'd love you to join me on this journey as I explore the meaning of hope. I'll delve into philosophical perspectives, personal stories, and scientific insights to understand the power of this elusive emotion. So whether you're seeking inspiration, comfort, or simply a deeper understanding of the human spirit, let's embark on this exploration together and discover the extraordinary power of hope. Hello and welcome to this episode of the Chronicles of Hope podcast with me, Annie Bennett. Today I have a fabulous guest joining me. I'm really excited to talk to Lauren. Lauren is a business owner. I shall just say that because I'm sure Lauren will fill us in as to what exactly she does, because I know she does lots and lots of things. But I'm really pleased to welcome this morning Lauren Prentice. Good morning, Lauren. How are you this morning?
I'm good, thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, you're very welcome. You're very welcome. It's lovely to have you here. Now, I know a little bit about your story because I know you a little bit. So I know
Mhm.
there are lots of episodes of, because obviously we're talking about hope on this podcast. And I know that there are lots of times in your, particularly in your recent life, because that's how, when I've got to know you, where
Mhm.
hope has sort of been a significant part of what's been going on. But would you like to tell my listeners a little bit about you and a little bit about your story?
Yes, of course. So, my name's Lauren. I have multiple businesses. So, I've never had a real job. I started my first business when I left drama school in 2011. And I've been self-employed, running my own businesses ever since. So I've had a theatre school, I've had a kids' party company, I've had a Christmas elf business, which I sort of still have, but kind of wound down. Um, I have a theatre business where we sell theatre tickets to lots and lots of different people. And I have a subscription box for business owners as well. Um, so yeah, lots going on.
Lots and lots going on. And dare I say, I know that you did some acting at one point as well, didn't you? Because I know you mentioned one story.
Yeah, so
Tell us the
um,
film you were in, Lauren. Come on.
I did lots. So I did lots. I did Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. I did God, what's that? Something with Nick Cage that I can't remember the name of. God, what was that? Anyway, I did a couple of the Harry Potters. I did, and then all like the standard TV stuff. So like the Bill and EastEnders and various dramas, Lewis. Um,
Ooh,
so
lovely.
yes, and then I stopped that when I finished drama school and realized I can't think of anything worse than being an actor.
Right, yeah, because there is a certain, yeah, you have to have certain, not acting skills, but personality skills, don't you, to be an actor? You have to be quite,
Yeah, and I think you have to also be really, really, really willing to stab people in the back. You have to be really, really, really cutthroat and quite brutal, and that just wasn't really me. And I just didn't like that sort of almost way of life, I suppose. It just wasn't my cup of tea.
yeah, you're right. It is for some people, isn't it? But yeah, I couldn't do that either. So yeah. So
Yeah.
let's go back, if we may, um,
Hmm.
to pre-COVID, because COVID seems to be a turning point for lots of people, doesn't it? Um,
Yeah, yeah,
Tell us
absolutely.
what was happening before COVID. What were your businesses that you were running then?
Yeah, so before COVID, I had a children's party company. And we went and did kids' parties. So I had a team of entertainers that would go out and um, run the kids' party. And we would do sort of up to about 20 parties a weekend on like a really busy
Oh,
weekend. Yeah, so really busy. So we did like the standard, Disney princesses and all that kind of thing. And then I also had a business that sold theatre tickets. So it was an absolutely thriving business pre-COVID. Um, everything was kind of, I'd say, at its height. We'd not had any kind of um, disruption, I suppose is the best way to put it. So everything had run really, really smoothly. Everything was very, very on the up. I'd just done a launch into my membership, and sort of overnight we've got 625 new paying members, which was incredible. You know, that's exactly what you want when you do a launch. It couldn't have gone better. And that was on the 1st of March 2020. So it was going incredibly well. It was looking like it would be the first year that we hit 1 million in turnover. And it was very much like we were on that trajectory. Nothing was going to stop us, as far as I was concerned, until 20th of March, I think it was, we all went into lockdown. And obviously we all know how that panned out.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I remember that day really well and thinking, oh my God, I've got no income now. I mean, from, you know, to 600, over 600 members in your membership, you're thinking, hey, you know, this is going.
Yeah. And that was just new members. So we had like 600 already. So we had like 1,200 members, and we had, you know, thousands and thousands and thousands of tickets. I think I worked out that it was about 10,000 tickets I had to change during the lockdown. So from March 2020 to June the 21st, I think, was when they lifted lockdown 2021 for theatres. Between that time, yeah, there was about 10,000 tickets we had to move, cancel, rearrange, reschedule. And some shows we rescheduled like 3 or 4, up to 5 times.
Yeah, because I mean, I was in the wedding industry, and in March everyone thought, oh, by the end of the year it'll be fine. So everyone was rebooking their wedding for November, and then, oh, hang on. And it wasn't it?
And it's really funny because I did a podcast recording in, must have been like the end of March, early April 2020. And I'm having a conversation. I listened to it the other week because I'm going back on the podcast. And in the podcast, I'm having a conversation with him. And I'm like, you know, this is temporary. And he's like, yeah, within 3 weeks, we'll all be out and everyone will go back to normal and forget this ever happened.
We can look back and laugh now.
Oh, how naive. Yeah, how naive.
Oh, it was funny, actually, because a friend of mine was a GP, and a theatrical friend of mine, and we were having to postpone something, and he said, oh no, we'll have another lockdown in November. And we were like, no, we won't. And he said, yeah. We based it on, I think it was the data that came from the Spanish flu or something. It was some kind of data that we didn't know about. And he said, yeah, there'll be a second wave. And of course there was. So all the people in the know knew, but all of us.
Yeah. I remember speaking to my doctor about something, and he said, you know, if I can give you one piece of advice, is that this isn't just a short-term thing. Like, this is going to be months, not weeks. And I remember thinking at the time, like, oh, it's scaremongering.
Yeah. We didn't want to believe it, did we?
No. We were it was quite novel to begin with, wasn't it? It was like, you know,
because it was nice weather and it felt like a holiday a bit, didn't it? We were our barbecues, thinking, oh, we haven't got to go to work. And
then reality kicked in.
Work anyway. So tell us the reality of, you had, you know, 1,200 members in your membership who were all there to buy theatre tickets. You then, you know, in the space of that Prime Minister's speech, were thinking, oh my goodness, you know, all these theatre tickets I'm going to have to either refund or not sell. I mean, if we come back to the thought of hope, what were your hopes at that point? What was the
I mean, at that point, the hope was that this was short-lived, and within 3 weeks, you know, everything would be back open and everyone would be all right. But like I said earlier, you know, we were super naive thinking that it was going to be that short. The hope, like the big hope overriding for the whole of the COVID period, I think, was just that people would still want to go to the theatre, because there was this worry in the back of your mind that people would go, I don't want to sit with loads of people in one big room next to someone, you know, shoulder to shoulder, that I don't know, and that, you know, you don't know who they've mixed with, and this, that, and the other. And so there was always that in the back of your mind, like, are we ever going to get back to a point of of like those highs that we'd had. And thankfully we did, obviously. But there was also just the hope that, you know, our members wouldn't just disappear. And actually, to be honest, we did really well with our members. We had a few that paused, but 95% of our members continued to pay their membership for the entirety of the lockdown.
Yeah, that really does say something about what you set up there, definitely.
Yeah, they were really, really loyal, and they were really good at saying like, well, you know, my income's not changed and I still want to go to the theatre, or, you know, I've been furloughed on full pay, so I'm not bothered, kind of thing. Like they were very, I think there was like, I know you probably found the same, there was a real desire to help small businesses.
Yeah.
People knew how much of a struggle.
Absolutely. So at what point then did the business box come about? Because I know that was born then, wasn't it?
Yeah, so we obviously went into lockdown in the March, and I'd furloughed all my staff. It was pretty bleak, and it got to sort of like the July time, and I kind of went, this isn't going anywhere. You know, I can't just do this forever, you know, for another year, however long it was going to be. And so I was like, I need to do something else. And I knew that I still had a hell of a lot on my plate with the theatre stuff, because I was having to move things and change things. And we had, you know, so much on like the customer service front, and it was all down to me because everyone else was furloughed. So it was a really, really difficult position. So then I had the situation where I had to make a decision on what to do, but I needed something that was going to be a recurring revenue stream, because I knew once the theatre went back, I wasn't going to have time to kind of dedicate myself to something like, I mean, I even at one point was like, oh, you know, I could set up as like a childminder, or you know, something like that. Yeah, like you look after people's kids who's, you know, where their schools are shut and things like that. You know, you're thinking all sorts, but I wouldn't have been able to continue doing that once, you know, everything went back to normal, so to speak. So it needed to be something that could run alongside the theatre stuff, and alongside I had a kids cookery class business at the time as well, which I completely forgot about. And so a subscription box, I was looking over to what they were doing in the US with subscription boxes, and subscription boxes in the US were doing really, really well. And particularly in the pandemic, like there was a real pandemic boom of subscription boxes, because people couldn't go out and spend money. People did have disposable income because they weren't traveling to work. They weren't going out and buying meals and things like that. Like, there was a lot more money floating around to spend in e-commerce, and subscription boxes where you got that surprise were really, really, really doing well. So actually starting a subscription box in that time was a really, really good move, because of the change in like consumer habits, and also the fact that it was a recurring revenue stream. So yeah, I launched that in the September of 2020. We had like, I think about 30 people sign up to start with, which was fine. I'd set myself a goal of getting like 250, but to be honest, was completely out with my numbers there, because I just didn't have the audience, because it was a whole new audience that I needed to build. But yeah, come 2021, we'd really scaled it, and I had started another subscription box for kids cooking, and across the two we had like 1,000 subscribers, so we're sending out 1,000 boxes a month. And by the time everything reopened and the theatres reopened and that all fired back up again, and we were able to advertise, and we were able to kind of encourage people back to the theatre, we were actually in a position where we could run all of those businesses concurrently because of the systems we'd put in, because it was that recurring revenue. So yeah, it made a big difference.
Yeah. And then of course you became the expert on setting up subscription boxes.
Yeah, because obviously there was like this real boom, and there still is a real boom in subscription boxes, and people want to start subscription box companies. And I get why, because it's a really exciting business to run. Like I always say, well, I'm getting paid to shop, you know, I get to go out and look for things for the box, and I can legitimately call that my job. So yeah, so I do a lot of coaching in starting subscription boxes, running subscription boxes, because although on the surface it's a fairly straightforward concept, get box, put things in box, send box.
Yeah.
Logistically and marketing wise, it's a very, very different beast to anything else. So yeah, I really enjoy doing that, and it's lovely to see like some of the boxes that set up in the first round that I did my course still going and doing really, really well. It's really, really nice.
That must be really, really, yeah, lovely.
Yeah, it's just nice to see and nice to follow people's journey, I suppose, from like concept through to having like a thriving business, and people going, I've quit my day job and stuff like that. So yeah, it's really nice.
Yeah. And are there any new subscription boxes on the horizon or changes at
For
all?
me, yeah, so I actually have every intention to actually sell the business box this year.
Oh,
That's
wow.
kind of on my radar. And I actually want to start a new subscription box. I mean, I'll tell you what it is. I haven't actually told anyone what it is yet. An exclusive, yeah, there you go. I want to start a subscription box for kids that want to start businesses.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, so a box for children that want to start a business. So each box, and I think it's going to be bi-monthly rather than monthly, they will get a different business. So they can, one month they might get like everything they need to do a bath bomb business. And so they'll get all the ingredients, all the packaging, all the bits and pieces. They'll get a workbook as well that talks them through, who's this for? Who's your ideal client? So all like the real basics of business. How to market it, who, your margins and things like that. So really, really comprehensive. For kids between the age of kind of 8 and 13, I think is the best kind of, it's quite a broad age range, but I think it's going to appeal quite broadly. So yeah, and they'll get a different business each month, and they'll get all the bits that they can have to make the whatever it is they're making. Or selling, and then they go out and sell it, and then we'll hopefully be able to keep a track of all the money that they've made, and they'll get lots of skills. But for me, that's a real starting point of something bigger, because I think there's a real, since I've had a child, I'm very, very, very aware of how many gaps there are in our education system, and how these things aren't taught, and it's just crazy to me how archaic our school system is and how much is left behind. So yeah,
I mean, I was 30 years a teacher, so, and that's one of the reasons why I did end up, one of the reasons, there were many, but one of them was that the curriculum is just so straitjacketed. The curriculum is aimed to get you into a job, you do it for 50 years, and then you retire for however long, and that's it. It's not set up for
no flexibility,
entrepreneurship and doing your own thing, which is
and I mean, there's so many things that I find wrong with it, like the sheer fact that our school year is still run around the farming schedule. Like we have 6 weeks over the summer holidays off, because kids were traditionally going and helping on farms, and it's like we're not doing that these days. So why has that not been changed to something that's more manageable, so the kids aren't burnt out by the time they get to the summer holidays?
And the teachers.
Well, even more so probably.
No, I love the idea of that. I love the idea. And actually, talking of children, let's come to the next thing that I'd love to talk to you about, which is the whole Tav, the whole story of that, really, because it wasn't a straightforward ride for you, was it?
No, not at all. So I found out I was pregnant in 2022, and it was a complete and utter shock. Wasn't expecting it at all. I actually went to the doctors because I thought I had a parasite, and and the doctor had to break it to me that no, this was not a parasite. It was a parasite of a different kind.
Because you'd just been on holiday, is that right?
I'd just been on holiday, so I went like, I think there's something wrong. I don't know what's going on, and they were like, not quite what you had in mind, but so it was a bit dramatic, and I had a really, really difficult pregnancy. So I was really unwell. I had really bad antenatal depression, which isn't really talked about. It's not really something that's acknowledged, but we talk about postnatal depression a lot. I would argue that antenatal depression is probably just as common. It's just not as talked about. And I had that really, really badly. And I had really bad days, I had really bad weeks, had really bad months. I had problems with my pelvis. So by the end of the pregnancy, I couldn't walk. I had diabetes. So I actually, when I was pregnant, lost a stone. So I was a stone and a half lighter when
Not a
Tab
big
was
person,
born.
are you, Lauren? So
No, no. So I was, yeah, if I look back at photos, I look very, very unwell. And that's just because I had to so drastically change my diet from my usual sugar to
yeah.
to no sugar. And it was a really, really rough ride. And I had got to the point where I had argued and argued and argued to have an elective C-section and to have it before 39 weeks because I didn't want to go into labour. And they had agreed that I could have a C-section. I had it booked in for the Thursday. And I finished work on the Friday with a plan that I would have like 3 or 4 days to do the things I needed to do, like pack my hospital bag and, you know, get a bit ready for this huge new arrival. And had the weekend, felt a bit rough, but I'd felt rough for the whole 9 months. So it wasn't really a big difference. And I woke up at 5 a.m. on the Monday morning, went to the toilet, felt a bit weird, went back to the toilet about 5-10 minutes later, which wasn't unusual because I was pregnant and I was going to the toilet every 10 minutes, as you generally do when you get to that stage of pregnancy. And I looked down into the toilet and it was just full of blood.
Oh my word.
And I said to Dave, I was like, you need to ring the hospital, I'm bleeding. And I looked down again and it was just filling up. And I was like, you need to ring an ambulance. So we phoned an ambulance and they came out immediately. And they rushed me straight to the hospital. But the difficulty thing is with the ambulance crew is they're not actually trained to check the baby. So we had the whole of that time, the whole journey until we got to the hospital. I was hemorrhaging. We didn't know whether we were bringing a baby home at this point. Like it was, really, really, really horrendous. Got into triage. They put me on a monitor, found a heartbeat. It was all fine. And then the heartbeat started to drop. So they basically, it was very much a case of running down the corridor. And I remember saying to one of the midwives, I said, I'm really scared. And she said, we're doing everything we can to save you and your baby. And at that point, I realized it was serious. And it wasn't until that point that, because at that point, I was kind of like, okay, cool. Well, we're going to have a C-section now. Cool. Yeah, cool. Okay, cool. Yeah, get on with it. And it wasn't until that point, and I was like, oh, wow. Yeah, this is actually really serious.
Oh my word.
So so I woke up at, I think, about 5:30 in the morning, and Tav was born at 12 minutes past 8. So it was a really, really, really short period of time between sort of waking up to he was here. And he was born, he was not breathing properly. He went straight to the NICU. I went straight to recovery after the C-section, stitched up, straight to recovery. And then didn't see him until much later that evening. But difficulty was I'd lost so much blood that I was only kind of semi-conscious for several days. So I didn't really have any of that like first few days with your baby experience, because I was in and out of consciousness. So really, really, really rough ride. And then after that, it was strange actually, because I had a real period of, I had probably about 10 days where I was just very, very happy. Like everything was fine. I wasn't in pain anymore. I just had this emergency C-section and a massive hemorrhage. And I was in a lot less pain and felt a lot less rough than I did when I was pregnant. So I had 10 days when I was like, this is brilliant. And I remember saying to the mental health nurse, I was like, I feel fine. I was like, I feel normal. I feel okay. And I was like, such a like period of hope of like, maybe I'm all right now. Maybe this is it. Maybe we're at the end of the road, you know? I remember saying to the nurse, I'm just waiting for the crash. She was like, you might not get it. And I was like, well, let's hope not.
Yeah.
But it came and it hit me like a ton of bricks.
Right.
And I was diagnosed with PTSD from the birth. I had really bad postnatal depression. I was actually under the perinatal mental health team until Tavi was 18 months old, and they were only meant to keep you on for a year. So yeah, I had to have I had EDMR therapy, which is like it's basically what they would give soldiers coming back from war. It's specific for trauma, and it's best way to describe it is when you go through trauma, your body doesn't, or your brain, sorry, doesn't process everything into the right folders. So for example, when something happens within a day, so you go to work and you go to the park and you go to the supermarket, it folds that into its proper filing cabinet.
Yeah.
And when you go through trauma, that doesn't happen. So it floats around your brain and it's there and it's raw and it's happening constantly, and you're constantly in fight or flight mode. And what EDMR does is it's all to do with the movements of your eyes. So you're following somebody's fingers with your eyes. It sounds absolutely mental, but it's incredibly effective. And it helps your mind file the trauma into its correct boxes. So obviously it doesn't take it away, it doesn't make it go away, but what it does do is it helps to put it in its right boxes so that it's not so raw and it's not floating. And I did about 6 months of that therapy, and it was probably the hardest thing I've ever done. It was really, really, really difficult because you have to relive everything. And as you're reliving it and as you're doing the filing, so to speak, it brings other things up. So things that you've suppressed that you don't remember come to the forefront. So yeah, really, really, really difficult therapy, and not one that you would want to do for a laugh, put it that way.
Oh no.
Absolutely. But it did make the biggest difference. Like, wholeheartedly say it was like the biggest turning point. It was the hardest thing I ever did, but it was the biggest turning point for my recovery, without a doubt.
Wow. And how are you now?
I would say I am 100% better now. What happened is still there. I still remember it, but it's not raw. It's not still there. And like, I can honestly say that all through my pregnancy, I was absolutely terrified that I wouldn't bond with Tav, and then again, when I had postnatal depression, the big thing was, how much damage have I done to him when I was pregnant? Because they all say, all this, like, the mother's bond and this, that, and the other, and it can cause stress on the baby. And you see so much when you're pregnant that just makes you feel like a terrible mother before they're even born. But I can wholeheartedly say, like, he is incredible and we have the most amazing bond, but it didn't happen overnight. Like it took a lot of work. And I think that is like the biggest piece of hope that I would give to any mother that has postnatal depression or isn't like bonding with their child is that you don't, as someone said it to me and put it really nicely, they said when you meet your partner or someone that you love, you don't expect to fall in love with them instantly. Like if you go on a first date, you don't, most people, unless they really, really, really romanticize everything, don't think they're going to fall in love at first sight. You build that. Yeah. And it's the same when you have a baby. Like you don't necessarily have that immediate, this is it, rush of love. And some people do, but I think I almost like expected that to happen. Yeah.
I think you're right. I think you see and you read so much, don't you, about, oh, it's a wonderful time, you'll bond instantly. You don't see, the other side, which is actually you might not, not as easy as that. And the antenatal depression that you were talking about, as you say, I'm sure is so very common. But because of the whole, oh, but you're so lucky you're expecting a baby.
Oh, you're glowing and this, that, and the other.
Yeah. So I'm interested in that, the antenatal. depression, how did that sort of manifest itself? Was it just a worry that things wouldn't be right, or?
No, it was a lot bigger than that.
Hmm.
It was, I'd say it was depression in every sense of the word. So whereas, you know, you can say you're depressed, but you can get on and
Yeah.
do things, it was very much unable to function,
Mm.
crying in a heap on the floor
Yeah.
kind of thing.
Wow.
Incredibly difficult. It was just such a big life change. There's so much to get my head around, on top of feeling absolutely rotten.
Mm.
Like I had really bad insomnia, so I didn't sleep for the entirety of the pregnancy. What was really ironic is that when I had a newborn, I slept a hell of a lot better. And I had a newborn that was up every 2 or 3 hours, and I was like, I feel refreshed and wonderful. That's how little I slept when I was pregnant. And I was in pain. Like, I was constantly in pain, and I constantly had problems. I constantly had infections, and I was constantly overthinking everything. Has he moved too much? Has he not moved enough? Is he, is this right? Is that right? And obviously then I had the diabetes. So then they're breathing down your neck going, oh, your blood sugars are this and your blood sugars are that. And I couldn't get I had real problems with the eating side of things, because all of my diet was like carbs and sugar. So all of a sudden it was like, oh, well, you can just eat you can just eat peanut butter with everything. And I was like, I don't like peanut butter. So I was like, I got to the point, I remember one night, we didn't have any food in the house. We had absolutely nothing in the house. And Dave had gone out, and he was meant to bring back something for dinner. And my blood sugars were going really, really low. And obviously you're testing your blood sugars all the time, because that's what you have to do. And I was like, I've got nothing in the house. I was like, I'm gonna have to cook something. The only thing I had that I could cook was pasta, but pasta's a carb and this, that, and the other. And I remember Dave coming home and him being like, what's the matter? And I was like, I've had to eat pasta. And he was like, what do you mean? I was like, I had to eat pasta. Now I'm gonna hurt the baby because my blood sugar is gonna be really high. And he was like, how much pasta did you eat? I was like, I only had 4 bits, because then I felt really guilty. He was like, I've got you some food. I was like, oh, okay. It was just like the tiniest thing was such a huge thing.
Absolutely. Everything just balloons out of
context completely.
Yeah, what we can see now is out of proportion, but at the time it's absolutely full and valid, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And total catastrophizing of everything.
Yeah.
It was hideous. And I was terrified I was going to go into labor naturally, and I was going to have a natural birth. I did not want to have to entertain that. I was not up for that. And it was just not an enjoyable experience. I can honestly say there was not a moment of pregnancy I enjoyed.
Yeah.
Not even.
Do you know, and I don't think enough women say that.
No, and it's not until you volunteer the information they go, yeah, no, I didn't really like it either.
Yeah.
Oh, well, you just told me on Facebook 80 times for the last 9 months that it's wonderful and you're sprouting a new human.
You're supposed to skip through the daisies with wearing gingham and
and a floating
with your child
in the woods naked.
Yeah. But actually, the reality of it is it's hard, isn't it?
It's really hard. And I remember saying to my friend really early on, I was like, I am exhausted. She was like, you're growing a human and an organ. And I was like, what? I was like, what do you mean an organ? She's like, the placenta's an organ. I was like, oh, that's
oh, that's more information than I need.
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah.
Oh my word. Oh my word. But I mean, at the end of the day, you have come out with a gorgeous little boy. I mean, I see the picture. He's just an absolute cutie pie, isn't he?
He is really cute. He's
gorgeous boy.
Yeah, he is an absolutely gorgeous boy, and he's lovely, and he is everything I could have dreamed of in the most possible way. And you do still carry that guilt. I will always carry that guilt of his, when I was pregnant with him and when he was born. I don't think that's ever going to change. And I think that part of doing all the therapy that I did has made me accept that actually, you will carry that, but you don't have to overcompensate for it. You know, you don't have to beat yourself up for it, kind of thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah.
And all that time, this is even more fascinating. Your businesses were still running during all that time, weren't they?
Yeah, absolutely. So I sold my kids' cookery business when I was pregnant. So that was my main aim when I was pregnant, to try and offload that, because it was not a recurring revenue stream in the slightest. It was very, very much a like swapping time for money, and it needed a lot of staff, and they all needed management, and there was so much admin involved with it, and you had to keep the schools happy, the parents happy, the kids happy, the teachers happy. Like it was a bit of an impossible task, really. So I sold that, continued running the business box. Obviously I've got a brilliant team, so they were able to take on a lot of that side of things. Continued with all the ticket stuff. The ticket stuff is pretty much as automated as it can get now, apart from like obviously custom service and the kind of like actual physical sending out the tickets. And yeah, I mean, it was tough when I was pregnant. I had to get rid of a member of staff for like gross misconduct, and that was definitely not something I wanted to be doing at like 28 weeks pregnant. Yeah, so that was really hard, and also it left a gap in the team. So then you're going, well, I've got to replace this person because I'm literally going to have a baby in 2 months' time, and I've got to replace them with someone who knows what they're doing. So I've got to get someone in yesterday, kind of thing. And that was obviously did not help matters at all. But yeah, I mean, it worked out right in the end.
Yeah, but you're still here and you're still thriving, and
yeah. And I think that first year, so 2023, was really tough, and it was very much about surviving. It was very much about surviving from a business point of view. It was kind of like, okay, well, let's just fulfill obligations we've already got, and fulfill what, like the almost the bare minimum, I'd say. Like, let's get through. And then last year was a lot more. I was a lot better, I'd say. By the time Tav turned 1, I'd say I was like 80% there. And he's going to be 2 next week, and I'd say I'm 100% there. So it took the time. Really took the time. But yeah, I'd say business-wise, 2024 was about going, okay, well, let's look at what we actually want. Let's look at what we actually, what's important. Where do we want to go? I suppose back end of the year is where I went, actually, I don't think I want to carry on with the business box. I think this is one now that I've built enough that I want to sell it on. And just evaluating exactly what I want. And the theatre is my real passion. It has been. And the education stuff, I've worked in education since I left drama school at 21. So, it's a long standing looking at it with a bird's eye view going, sure how I feel about this. So I'm excited for what's to come, to be honest. I'm sort of hopeful for that next step.
Excellent. Oh, it's been so lovely talking to you.
Well, thank you so much.
To hear your story. Now, I do ask all my guests, although you've sort of said one already, but to either mums to be or mothers or business owners, choose whichever you like. But what would your message of hope be?
I think my message of hope would be that I think when you look at things, and if you look at it from like a really philosophical point of view, and we say what goes up must come down, right? But what goes down has to come up again. And you have to almost like ride those peaks. So, you look at things, and you look at COVID, and that was very much, we'd come up, oh, hi, Fluff, come up to then go back down again during COVID. And now, we're on the up. And I've been in business long enough now, I've been in life long enough now to know that, you can be on a high, and we know as business owners that actually, unfortunately, that doesn't always last forever. But nor does the lows.
Yeah.
So you have to ride those waves. And sometimes when you're on those lows, it's really, really, really easy to just go, well, I'm just going to burn it all down. I'm going to go and get a normal job and I'm going to do whatever. But actually, if you can ride those lows, it makes the highs higher, if that makes sense.
No, that's absolutely true. Yeah, you can tell yourself that, yeah, you're feeling low right now, but just hang on in there. Bit of determination.
Yeah, and I think there's an element of hang on in there is right, but you have to do what you can to get out of the hanging on in there.
Oh yeah,
because it's not just going to happen. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You have to put it in, but you have to be really clear on what you want as well. Yeah.
You have to, take positive action. You can't just sit there and expect things to change without doing something. You're right. Yeah. Lovely. Fabulous. Thank you. So, and we get an appearance. Fluffy the cat as well. Excellent.
Say hi.
Oh, he's got a little blue coat on.
He has, yeah. She's in a velvet number today.
Oh, very, very chic, Fluffy.
Yeah, she needs a bath, is what she needs. She's not got one.
Oh. Anyway, thank you so much for chatting with me.
Thank you. And
lovely to hear your story. Thank you.
Thank you. Take care. Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Chronicles of Hope podcast with me, Annie Bennett. I hope you've found inspiration, comfort, or perhaps even a newfound perspective around the meaning of hope. To find out more about the aims of the Chronicles of Hope organisation, please visit www.thechroniclesofhope.org, where you will find links to our social media accounts and where you will be able to make a much needed and appreciated donation. Thank you.